Greetings. Back with a check-in for Orley Farm by Anthony Trollope, I believe 1862 novel. This is for chapters 21 to 30. So it's a funny old book, this is. We do get more about Lady Mason trying to kind of weld her support, priming the old Lord Percy to be her supporter, and Mr. Furnival, the lawyer, to be her support. He's like, this is kind of getting a little dicey, but I really think she is very kind of an attractive, comely woman. She's great at the more sad she is, the more guys want to kind of comfort her. That's her kind of her secret weapon. And so yeah, they continue, like, he's like, oh well, we should just ignore it, but Furnival's like, no, the magistrate's probably going to hear this case. It's been put forward as a forgery case. With the evidence they have, they'll probably will want to hear it, so we're going to have to kind of gear up that way. She's really kind of doing all she can to get Lord Percy to kind of be her supporter thing for that. So that's sort of that thing that's happening. We get the whole thing with Joseph Mason, the wronged party in this case, and his super cheap wife, who, yes, they bought on super cheap markdown a old used version of this metal furnishing, which is like Louis Vuitton, which is like, isn't that shoes or something? But apparently it's Louis Vuitton was in the metal shoe business before, maybe getting into really high class shoes. And yeah, she's like, she starts yanking, she pulls out chairs. It's like, oh, they don't need 8. I'll take 2. And, like, it turns out she could have taken a couple more, because they're just like, oh, what crap this is. What the fuck are we gonna do with it? They've left it in the boxes. So there's that kind of little thing. There's the whole thing of the various Christmases. Yes, there is. Lady Mason spends Christmas at Lord Percy's. You know, he's really like, oh, anything I can do, anything I can do. Um, um, Mrs. Furnival, much put upon Mrs. Furnival, is really pissed because her husband's like, yeah, you don't want me to be here, so I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be off somewhere else, having fun. And it's like, fuck you, fuck you. Sophie is also, I think they're all off at the Stapleys, and, having fun, leaving Miss Furnival behind. And she really lets Furnival have it, which, great justification. They're just thoroughly miserable couple. I guess you offset them with all the kind of the youthful goings on at the Stapleys, where, there's Percival is really gotten, young Percival, the rat catcher, former rat catcher, is really going after Madeline Stapley, the young, super good looking daughter of the thing. And she's like, meh, kind of like, he's kind of a blunderbuss, not really kind of thinking about him. Parents would actually accept him. Because it's Trollope, we got to have some fox hunting. So there's a fox hunt, and of course there is a crash where Felix Graham, a young kind of penniless barrister, falls, breaks his arm, breaks a couple of ribs, and Madeline is like, oh, I love him. And Felix and Percival, who's really not good at kind of doing the glib kind of flirting talk, which Felix is actually good at, and part of the reason he just doesn't give a shit about what's going on. He's like, ah, crap. He actually does show his mettle by actually taking care of Felix when he's fallen. He's kind of a brick that way. which, does impress Madeline, who had never given a thought about him before this, but now she only thinks of him as the friend of the beloved Felix, who she's so concerned about, so that when he asks, like, will you marry me? He kind of bursts out and says it. She's like completely shocked. Like, even if she did have some feelings towards it, she feels it's something that you should kind of come at tenderly and softly. And he's just like, well, you'll marry me. Give me your hand. Marry me. And she's like, no, no, I can't. I'm sorry. No, no. He's like, oh, well, then I have to leave. And so he leaves. And that's the end of that. Yeah. Orderly Farm, the novel so far, it's all right. I'm not actually finding it. I found Lady Anna far more of an engaging novel for me. This one, I'm still kind of having a hard time giving a shit about them. I actually give a slight bit more shit about Percy just because he's, while completely hopeless at proposing, actually kind of does actually act decently towards Felix when he goes down, and it's like they kind of made a friendship. So there's kind of that, and he somewhat curses that. It's like, I actually like the guy, and but I'm still gonna fight on. I'm still gonna fight on. But if I lose, I lose. But I'm gonna fight on, and he fights on, and he loses. I don't know if that's particularly through any effort of Felix. Felix is sort of pretty much is falling into Madeline Stapley, who is pretty well off, like a very plum prize, not only good looking but rich. The duecta. I don't know what the trifecta is, but yeah. I can't think of much else to talk about with this other than I'm just I find that the kind of the central conflict, this whole thing over, did Lady Mason cheat Joseph Mason Jr. out of his inheritance? It's like, yeah, looks like he did, and yeah, and she's kind of being a bit of conniving, just trying to gather as many friends together. It's probably all to do with making sure her son gets the property, but it's still kind of, dishonest, and I don't have too much sympathy for her. Will she be able to weasel her way out of it or not? Probably. Yeah. Okay. I'm not getting too much of an engagement with it at this point, but I will continue on and see. All right. More videos later.